We got apple, pecan, cherry.
Hello, everybody. It's me, the Vern from the Cinema Recall Podcast, doing my first ever audio commentary, and I am picking 1994's Natural Born Killers. Now, I remember this film when it was released being a really big deal. You see, back in '94, Warner Brother Pictures releases Natural Born Killers, based on a script by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Oliver Stone. Starring Woody Harrelson, Juliette Lewis, Robert Downey Jr., and Tommy Lee Jones. And the story focuses on serial killers Mickey and Mallory Knott. They are very much your Bonnie and Clyde persona, and the whole story is about the media's obsession with crime and murder. Gotta understand that when this flick did come out, there was a lot of news organizations and 24-hour programs dedicated to crime and murder. You gotta understand this came out around the same time of like the O.J. Simpson murder trials and having that everywhere, and also the L.A. riots, and at the time you had Tanya Hardin, Lorena Bobbitt, and it really didn't matter what was facts and what was not. It was all about rating systems. And I think Oliver Stone and team really just wanted to make a satire of it. And that's why during the course of the movie you'll see like clips to commercials. It was all about our obsession with that type of thing. And this came out way before the internet. And so I think it'd be really kind of fascinating to see how people today would view this flick. Now, Trent Reznor was the producer of the album soundtrack, and if you do listen to the soundtrack, it plays very much like the movie, and I'm talking about in terms of style. And as you see with all those quick cuts, this movie has a lot of style to it. It's almost like an MTV style music video. I mean, this movie was shot in many different formats. You have video camera, you have 8mm, 16mm, 35mm. It goes from, like, you see black and white to color. There's uses of animation in there. And the camera work by Robert Richardson is really some of the really kind of interesting, because nothing's ever shot straight on. Everything's got to be at a slight angle. I think I've read once that this movie took was like 56 days to shoot, but it took about 12 months to edit. And yes, I kind of should apologize about the way this is being filmed. I don't have my internet access hooked up yet, so I'm just kind of doing everything in this nature. But yeah, the casting is really kind of interesting too, because Woody Harrelson was just coming off of Cheers, and I think White Man Can't Jump, and do a feature like this is really kind of fascinating. I know in interviews, oh, this is a great sequence right there. I'm sorry. I know in interviews it stated that Woody Harrelson's father was in prison for, I think it was robbery as well. Juliette Lewis, I think, just got out of, well, the only feature I have seen her in before this was Cape Fear, and that one she played like a really innocent kid, and to go from that to this is really different. 94, Robert Downey Jr., in this role he plays an Australian host of this crime TV series that is a take on Inside Edition, and I think he reprised the same type of persona in Tropic Thunder, the Australian accent. You will recognize that same type of like picking people was used in Pulp Fiction, also by Tarantino. There is a lot of like Tarantino connections within this flick. You have Tom Sizemore as the role of Jack Stantonati, who is basically a brother of Seymour Stantonati, who you hear Mr. Blonde talk about being his parole officer in Reservoir Dogs. I would be curious if Quentin Tarantino actually did remake this movie and made his own version of it, though, because like I said before, with all the stuff right there, with all the quick cuts, editing, and everything like that, how well this would play out today. But anyways, folks, that's kind of my general thoughts of Natural Born Killers. I think it's still great. I love all the use of camera techniques and all the fast cut editing, but I'm not quite sure how this will play out today. Will people just think it's just style over substance? But keep in mind, folks, too, that this was released by a major studio, and it was released wide, like everywhere. This was not just some sort of independent feature, and Warner Brothers did not create some sort of like independent studio to release this. No, this was a wide release, and I think this came out in the fall, and it did pretty good business. But I don't think they would do that same type of business today. I think today, if people saw this flick, they would just think it's just style over substance. But anyways, folks, that's it right now. I'm gonna go. The Cinema Recall podcast should be back sometime in September. But anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. And you can always follow us on Twitter at cinema_recall. Look us up on Instagram and Facebook by typing in Cinema Recall Podcast. And I hope you have a great day, okay?